Think for a moment. How big do you truly think about your life? Not in words, but in belief. Because you will never rise higher than the level of your thinking. The people who win aren't always the most gifted. They are the ones who dare to think bigger. Start smaller and show up with discipline every single day. Success doesn't arrive overnight. It's built quietly through consistent actions. When no one is watching. A wealthy mindset begins long before money appears. It starts with responsibility, patience, and the courage to act without perfect conditions. Today, make the decision to think beyond fear. Start below excuses and adopt a mindset that turns effort into opportunity and vision into reality. Thinking big begins with vision. And vision is not just about goals or dreams. It is about identity. The moment a person allows themselves to think bigger than their current circumstances, something internal shifts. They stop seeing themselves as a product of their environment and start seeing themselves as a creator of their future. Vision stretches the mind beyond survival mode and into purpose. When you think small, your actions are limited, your standards are low, and your decisions are based on fear. But when you think big, you are forced to grow into a larger version of yourself, because small thinking cannot support a big vision. A powerful vision changes how you see yourself before it changes anything around you. You no longer ask, "What can I get away with?" You ask, "What is required of me?" That question alone reshapes character. Big thinking demands discipline, patience, and courage. It forces you to confront habits that no longer serve you and replace them with behaviors that align with where you want to go. Vision exposes the gap between who you are and who you must become, and that gap becomes the training ground for growth. When someone thinks big, they stop identifying with their limitations. Their past no longer defines them. It informs them. Their current struggles no longer feel like permanent walls, but temporary classrooms. Vision teaches you to delay gratification because you can see further than the moment. You begin to understand that sacrifice today is not loss. It is investment. This shift in perspective is what separates people who merely dream from those who actually build something meaningful. Thinking big also changes how you handle pressure and failure. Small thinking takes failure personally and emotionally. Big thinking treats failure as feedback. When your vision is larger than your ego, you are willing to fall, learn, and stand back up stronger. You stop asking why things are happening to you and start asking what they are trying to teach you. Vision reframes pain into preparation and setbacks into setup for growth. Another powerful transformation happens in decision making. When your vision is small, decisions are made for comfort. When your vision is big, decisions are made for alignment. You begin to say no to distractions that once excited you because they no longer serve the future you see. You protect your time differently. You choose environments more carefully. You surround yourself with higher standards, not because you feel superior, but because you understand influence shapes identity. Thinking big also rewires your relationship with responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing. Vision gives you ownership. You realize that no one is coming to save you. And instead of feeling defeated by that truth, you feel empowered by it. You understand that your life is your responsibility, and that realization becomes fuel rather than pressure. You stop waiting for permission and start preparing yourself for opportunity. A strong vision also builds resilience. When life hits hard, and it always does, vision keeps you standing. Without vision, struggle feels pointless. With vision, struggle has meaning. You can endure long nights, slow progress, and silent seasons because you know what you are working toward. Vision gives suffering a direction. It reminds you that temporary discomfort is often the price of permanent growth. Most importantly, thinking big upgrades your standards. You no longer tolerate laziness in yourself. You stop making excuses sound reasonable. You hold yourself accountable, even when no one is watching. Vision demands integrity because you know that cutting corners today weakens the future you are trying to build. You begin to live with intention instead of reaction, purpose instead of habit. This is why thinking big is not dangerous. It is necessary. It challenges the old version of you that was built for comfort and replaces it with a version built for impact. Vision doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees growth. And growth changes identity. When your identity changes, your actions follow. When your actions change, your results eventually catch up. Because a person who sees themselves as capable, disciplined, and purposeful will inevitably create a life that reflects that belief. Starting small is often misunderstood as a lack of ambition, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful strategies for building long-term success. Big goals collapse when they are not supported by small, repeatable actions. When people refuse to start small, it is usually because of ego or fear. Ego wants instant recognition, and fear wants guaranteed results. Starting small removes both. It allows progress without pressure and growth, without overwhelm, creating a foundation that can actually support something big. Small beginnings teach consistency, and consistency is the real engine of success. Anyone can feel motivated for a day, but discipline is built through small actions done repeatedly, especially when they feel insignificant. These small steps train the mind to show up even when excitement fades. They build trust with yourself. Every time you complete a small task, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through, and that belief quietly compounds into confidence. Starting small also reduces the fear of failure. When the steps are manageable, the risk feels lighter and action becomes easier. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving with what you have. Progress becomes a habit instead of a performance. Over time, those small actions stack up, and what once felt slow becomes unstoppable. Momentum is not created by giant leaps. It is created by continuous movement. Small starts also sharpen skill and awareness. When you begin at a manageable level, you have space to learn, adjust, and improve. Mistakes become lessons instead of disasters. You gain experience without burning yourself out. This process develops patience and humility, two qualities that sustain success far longer than raw talent. Growth becomes intentional instead of rushed, and strength is built quietly rather than forced. Another hidden power of starting small is that it builds resilience. When progress is gradual, you learn how to stay committed during dull and difficult phases. You stop expecting instant results and start respecting the process. This mindset protects you from quitting too early because you understand that meaningful progress often feels invisible before it becomes obvious. You learn to work without applause and to trust effort, even when outcomes are delayed. Starting small also removes the excuse of being unprepared. You don't need perfect resources, connections, or timing to take a small step. Action creates clarity. The more you move, the more you learn what works and what doesn't. Waiting keeps you stuck in theory. Starting small moves you into reality. It transforms intention into experience, and experience into growth. In the long run, small beginnings create strong foundations. Anything built too fast without structure eventually collapses. Starting small ensures that when opportunities expand, you are ready to handle them. Capacity grows alongside responsibility. What looks slow at the beginning becomes sustainable at the end because you didn't skip the stages that shape character, discipline, and endurance. Small steps taken daily do not just lead to big results. They change who you are becoming along the way. Starting small is often misunderstood as a lack of ambition, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful strategies for building long-term success. Big goals collapse when they are not supported by small, repeatable actions. When people refuse to start small, it is usually because of ego or fear. Ego wants instant recognition, and fear wants guaranteed results. Starting small removes both. It allows progress without pressure and growth without overwhelm, creating a foundation that can actually support something big. Small beginnings teach consistency, and consistency is the real engine of success. Anyone can feel motivated for a day, but discipline is built through small actions, done repeatedly, especially when they feel insignificant. These small steps train the mind to show up even when excitement fades. They build trust with yourself. Every time you complete a small task, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through, and that belief quietly compounds into confidence. Starting small also reduces the fear of failure. When the steps are manageable, the risk feels lighter, and action becomes easier. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving with what you have. Progress becomes a habit instead of a performance. Over time, those small actions stack up, and what once felt slow becomes unstoppable. Momentum is not created by giant leaps. It is created by continuous movement. Small starts also sharpen skill and awareness. When you begin at a manageable level, you have space to learn, adjust, and improve. Mistakes become lessons instead of disasters. You gain experience without burning yourself out. This process develops patience and humility, two qualities that sustain success far longer than raw talent. Growth becomes intentional instead of rushed, and strength is built quietly rather than forced. Another hidden power of starting small is that it builds resilience. When progress is gradual, you learn how to stay committed during dull and difficult phases. You stop expecting instant results and start respecting the process. This mindset protects you from quitting too early because you understand that meaningful progress often feels invisible before it becomes obvious. You learn to work without applause and to trust effort, even when outcomes are delayed. Starting small also removes the excuse of being unprepared. You don't need perfect resources, connections, or timing to take a small step. Action creates clarity. The more you move, the more you learn what works and what doesn't. Waiting keeps you stuck in theory. Starting small moves you into reality. It transforms intention into experience, and experience into growth. In the long run, small beginnings create strong foundations. Anything built too fast without structure eventually collapses. Starting small ensures that when opportunities expand, you are ready to handle them. Capacity grows alongside responsibility. What looks slow at the beginning becomes sustainable at the end, because you didn't skip the stages that shape character, discipline, and endurance. Small steps taken daily do not just lead to big results. They change who you are becoming along the way. Daily habits are the quiet architects of extraordinary success. They rarely feel powerful in the moment, and that is exactly why most people underestimate them. Everyone admires the final result, the confidence, the wealth, the influence, but few pay attention to the small, repeated actions that built it. Habits operate beneath the surface, shaping outcomes long before they become visible. What you do consistently, even in the smallest ways, determines the direction your life moves in, whether you are aware of it or not. The power of daily habits lies in their ability to compound. One small action may seem insignificant on its own, but when repeated over weeks, months, and years, it creates momentum that is difficult to stop. Success rarely arrives through dramatic breakthroughs. It is more often the result of ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency. Reading a few pages each day, improving a skill for a short period, or maintaining a routine that strengthens the body and mind may not feel impressive, but these habits slowly raise your standard of living and thinking. Habits also shape identity. When you repeat an action daily, you are not just producing an outcome, you are reinforcing a belief about who you are. A person who shows up every day begins to see themselves as disciplined, reliable, and capable. This internal shift is critical because behavior follows identity. When you believe you are someone who does the work, you no longer rely on willpower. The action becomes natural and resistance fades over time. Another important aspect of daily habits is that they reduce the need for motivation. Habits create structure, and structure removes decision-making. When something is part of your routine, you do it regardless of mood. This consistency protects progress during difficult or unexciting phases. Motivation is unreliable, but habits are steady. They carry you forward when enthusiasm disappears and life becomes demanding. Daily habits also build resilience in silence. No one applauds the small efforts made behind closed doors. There is no instant reward for waking up early, staying focused, or choosing discipline over comfort. Yet these unseen actions strengthen character. They teach patience and endurance. Over time, the ability to work without recognition becomes a competitive advantage, because most people quit when validation is absent. Small habits also create clarity. When you act consistently, you learn what works and what doesn't. You adjust naturally instead of overthinking. action refines direction. Waiting keeps you stuck in theory, but habits move you into experience. Through repetition, you sharpen skills, increase awareness, and develop confidence grounded in evidence rather than hope. Daily habits influence how you handle setbacks. When progress is built on routine rather than emotion, one bad day does not derail everything. You understand that missing once is not failure, quitting is. Habits create stability, allowing you to recover quickly and continue forward. This ability to stay consistent despite fluctuations is what separates long-term success from short-lived bursts of effort. Another quiet strength of daily habits is that they raise standards over time. What once felt difficult becomes normal. As your baseline improves, you naturally expect more from yourself. Growth becomes a lifestyle rather than a goal. This upward shift happens gradually, but it transforms how you approach challenges, opportunities, and responsibility. Extraordinary success often looks dramatic from the outside, but it is built on ordinary routines maintained over long periods. The difference is not intensity, it is persistence. Daily habits teach you to respect the process, trust effort, and value progress, even when it is invisible. They remind you that greatness is not created in moments of inspiration, but in moments of commitment repeated day after day. What makes daily habits so powerful is their simplicity. They do not require talent, luck, or perfect conditions. They only require a decision to show up. When you commit to small, consistent actions, you create a system that works for you even when motivation fades. Over time, these habits shape your mindset, your character, and your results, proving that success is not a mystery but a pattern built quietly through what you choose to do every single day. Delayed gratification is one of the most powerful traits behind long-term success. Yet it is one of the hardest disciplines to master in a world built on instant rewards. It is the ability to resist immediate pleasure in exchange for a greater future outcome. Most people understand this concept intellectually, but very few apply it consistently. The difference between potential and achievement often comes down to the choices made in moments when no one is watching and comfort is easily available. At its core, delayed gratification is about self-control and vision. When you can see beyond the present moment, you stop being ruled by impulses. You begin to weigh decisions based on where they lead rather than how they feel right now. This shift strengthens the mind and trains it to prioritize growth over convenience. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you reinforce your ability to lead yourself. Delayed gratification builds mental toughness. Saying no to short-term pleasure is uncomfortable, and discomfort is where strength develops. When you repeatedly practice restraint, your tolerance for discomfort increases. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable. This ability to endure temporary pain without giving up becomes a defining advantage, especially when progress is slow and rewards are delayed. This mindset also creates financial, emotional, and personal stability. People who delay gratification are less reactive and more intentional. They save when others spend, they prepare when others relax, and they practice when others procrastinate. These choices may look boring or restrictive in the moment, but over time, they create freedom. True freedom is not the absence of effort. It is the ability to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. Delayed gratification also reshapes how you handle temptation. Instead of avoiding temptation entirely, you learn to manage it. You understand that temptation will always exist, but your response to it determines your direction. Each time you resist, you strengthen your confidence. You begin to trust yourself more, knowing that you can act in alignment with your goals, even when distractions are loud. Another powerful effect of delayed gratification is patience. In a fast-paced world, patience becomes a competitive advantage. When you are patient, you don't rush decisions or chase shortcuts. You understand that anything built too quickly without structure is unstable. Patience allows you to focus on quality rather than speed, depth rather than appearance. It teaches you to value progress even when it is slow and invisible. Delayed gratification also protects you from burnout. Chasing constant pleasure leads to exhaustion because it never truly satisfies. Purposeful effort, on the other hand, creates sustainable energy. When your actions are aligned with long-term goals, work feels meaningful rather than draining. You are willing to push through hard seasons because you know why you are doing it. This discipline also strengthens emotional intelligence. You learn to pause before reacting. Instead of being controlled by frustration, boredom, or desire, you respond thoughtfully. This emotional control improves relationships, decision-making, and leadership. People who can delay gratification tend to be calmer under pressure and more consistent in their actions. Over time, delayed gratification changes how success feels. Achievements earned through patience and sacrifice carry deeper satisfaction. You know the effort behind them, and that knowledge creates pride without arrogance. The rewards feel deserved, not accidental. This sense of earned confidence becomes a stable foundation that does not collapse under pressure. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself happiness. It is about choosing a greater form of it. Short-term pleasure fades quickly, but long-term fulfillment grows stronger with time. When you consistently choose the future over the moment, you build a life that reflects intention rather than impulse, strength rather than comfort, and purpose rather than convenience. Ownership of choices and personal responsibility is the moment a person truly steps into adulthood, regardless of age. It is the decision to stop handing control of your life to circumstances, people, or luck, and to accept that your outcomes are largely shaped by the choices you make every day. This mindset is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it is also empowering because it returns control back to you. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for life to change and start changing how you live. Many people avoid responsibility because it feels heavy. Blame feels lighter. Blame allows you to protect your ego and avoid discomfort, but it also keeps you stuck. When you blame external factors, you surrender your power to them. Responsibility does the opposite. It acknowledges reality without self-pity and asks a simple, honest question: what can I do differently? That question alone creates momentum because it focuses energy on action instead of complaint. Owning your choices requires self-awareness. You begin to observe your habits, reactions, and patterns without judgment. You stop pretending that results appear randomly. You recognize the connection between your decisions and your outcomes. This awareness is not about guilt. It is about clarity. Clarity allows change. When you see the truth of your behavior, you gain the ability to redirect it. Personal responsibility also reshapes how you handle mistakes. Instead of defending yourself or avoiding accountability, you acknowledge errors quickly and learn from them. This approach accelerates growth. Every mistake becomes data rather than damage. You stop repeating the same cycles because you are willing to examine your role in them. Growth becomes intentional instead of accidental. Taking ownership also strengthens confidence. Confidence does not come from always being right. It comes from knowing you can handle being wrong. When you trust yourself to take responsibility, failure becomes less frightening. You know that no matter what happens, you will respond with effort and learning. This internal security allows you to take calculated risks and step outside comfort zones without fear of collapse. Responsibility also changes how you relate to time. You stop wasting it on regret or resentment and start investing it in progress. You understand that while you cannot change the past, you can influence the future through present choices. This mindset encourages discipline and consistency. You begin to respect your time because you see it as a resource that shapes your life. Another powerful outcome of personal responsibility is emotional maturity. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding thoughtfully. Instead of saying, "This made me feel," you begin to say, "This is how I choose to respond." This shift gives you control over your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Emotional stability becomes a strength rather than a struggle. Owning your choices also improves relationships. When you take responsibility for your words and actions, trust grows. You communicate more honestly and listen more openly. You stop expecting others to fix what you refuse to face in yourself. This accountability creates respect, both for yourself and from others, because people sense integrity and reliability. Personal responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything or ignoring external challenges. It means focusing on what is within your control. Even in unfair situations, you choose your attitude, effort, and response. That choice defines your character. When you consistently act from responsibility, you build resilience. Life may still be difficult, but you become stronger. Over time, ownership becomes a habit. You stop asking who is at fault and start asking what is required. This mindset simplifies life and reduces stress because energy is no longer wasted on excuses. Progress becomes steady because action replaces explanation. When you take responsibility, you reclaim your power and direction, creating a life shaped by conscious choice rather than circumstance. Failure is often misunderstood as an ending, when in reality, it is an essential part of the learning process. When viewed correctly, failure is not a verdict on your ability or worth. It is tuition paid for growth. Every attempt that does not go as planned contains information that cannot be gained through comfort or success alone. The people who grow the most are not those who avoid failure, but those who extract lessons from it and apply them with humility and persistence. When failure is treated as a personal identity, it damages confidence and limits future action. But when failure is treated as feedback, it becomes a tool for improvement. This shift in perspective changes how you respond emotionally. Instead of shutting down or retreating, you become curious. You begin to ask what went wrong, what can be improved, and what must change next time. This mindset transforms disappointment into direction. Failure also develops resilience. Experiencing setbacks builds emotional strength and tolerance for discomfort. Each time you face failure and continue forward, you prove to yourself that you are capable of enduring hardship. This self-trust is critical because success rarely arrives without resistance. Those who fear failure often quit early, while those who accept it as part of the journey stay long enough to succeed. Another powerful aspect of failure is that it reveals gaps in skill, preparation, or strategy. These gaps are not weaknesses, they are opportunities for refinement. Failure points out what needs work more clearly than success ever could. When everything goes right, growth can stagnate. When things go wrong, awareness sharpens and improvement becomes intentional. Failure also humbles the ego. It reminds you that growth requires patience and effort. Humility opens the door to learning because it allows you to accept guidance, seek feedback, and remain adaptable. Without humility, success becomes fragile. Failure, when handled correctly, builds a foundation that can support lasting achievement rather than temporary wins. Viewing failure as tuition also changes how you take risks. When failure is not seen as catastrophic, you are more willing to step outside comfort zones. Progress requires experimentation, and experimentation includes mistakes. By accepting failure as a necessary cost, you free yourself from paralysis. Action becomes possible because the fear of being wrong no longer controls your decisions. Failure also teaches responsibility. Instead of blaming external factors, you begin to examine your role in the outcome. This accountability accelerates growth. You take ownership of your preparation, execution, and choices. Even when circumstances play a role, you focus on what you can control and improve. This mindset strengthens leadership and self-discipline. Another important lesson failure teaches is patience. Growth takes time, and failure reminds you that mastery is earned through repetition and correction. There are no shortcuts to meaningful success. Each setback reinforces the understanding that progress is built step by step, often through trial and error. This patience prevents burnout and unrealistic expectations. Failure also builds emotional intelligence. You learn how to manage disappointment, frustration, and self-doubt. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. This emotional control improves decision-making and relationships. People who have faced failure and grown from it tend to be more empathetic and grounded because they understand struggle on a deeper level. Over time, failure strengthens perspective. You realize that one loss does not define a lifetime, and one mistake does not erase potential. You develop the ability to zoom out and see the larger picture. This perspective keeps you focused on long-term long-term goals rather than short-term setbacks. You learn to separate outcomes from identity and effort from emotion. When failure is accepted as tuition, it no longer feels like wasted effort. Every experience contributes to growth, even when results are disappointing. This belief creates perseverance. You continue showing up, adjusting, and improving because you trust that learning is happening even when success is delayed. The people who eventually achieve greatness are not those who avoided failure, but those who stayed committed long enough to let failure shape them into something stronger and wiser. Consistency, when nobody is watching, is the true measure of character and commitment. It is easy to perform when there is recognition, pressure, or an audience. But real growth happens in silence. The habits built in private determine the results revealed in public. What you choose to do when no one is applauding you defines the trajectory of your life more than any moment of visibility or praise. Working without validation tests your discipline. In the early stages of any meaningful pursuit, progress is slow and largely invisible. There are no rewards, no encouragement, and often no reassurance that the effort will pay off. This is where most people quit, not because they lack ability, but because they crave acknowledgement. Consistency in solitude requires internal motivation, a belief in the process strong enough to sustain effort without immediate feedback. When you stay consistent without external pressure, you build self-trust. Each private commitment you honor becomes evidence that you can rely on yourself. This trust strengthens confidence in a deep, stable way. It is not dependent on applause or approval. It comes from knowing that you do the work because it matters, not because someone is watching. This kind of confidence cannot be shaken easily. Consistency in private also sharpens focus. Without distractions from praise or comparison, attention remains on improvement rather than appearance. You concentrate on getting better instead of looking good. This focus accelerates growth because energy is directed toward mastery. Over time, small improvements accumulate, creating a level of skill and competence that stands out naturally when the moment comes. Another powerful effect of working in silence is resilience. When effort is fueled by internal standards rather than external rewards, setbacks become easier to handle. You are not discouraged by lack of recognition, because recognition was never the goal. The goal was progress. This mindset keeps you moving forward during long, difficult phases where results are delayed and effort feels repetitive. Consistency without an audience also builds humility. You learn to value effort for its own sake. There is no room for ego when no one is watching. This humility keeps you grounded and open to learning. You become more willing to refine your approach, accept feedback, and adjust strategies because improvement matters more than image. Private consistency also shapes discipline. When routines are maintained without supervision, discipline becomes internal rather than enforced. You no longer need reminders or pressure. The work becomes part of who you are. This internal discipline creates reliability, a trait that is rare and highly valuable in any field. People who can be trusted to perform without oversight are the ones given greater responsibility and opportunity. Another benefit of consistency in solitude is that it builds patience. Progress made quietly takes time, and patience becomes necessary. You learn to respect the process and trust that results will come if effort remains steady. This patience protects you from chasing shortcuts or giving up too early. You understand that sustainable success is built slowly and deliberately. Consistency, when nobody is watching, also prepares you for moments of opportunity. When the spotlight eventually appears, you are ready because the work has already been done. Success seems sudden to others, but it is the result of countless unseen hours of preparation. You are able to perform under pressure because the habits were formed long before the pressure arrived. This kind of consistency also strengthens integrity. There is alignment between who you are in private and who you present in public. This alignment creates authenticity. You do not need to perform or pretend because your public actions reflect your private standards. Integrity builds trust with others and respect for yourself. Over time, working in silence changes how you define success. It becomes less about recognition and more about growth. You measure progress by effort, learning, and consistency rather than applause. This internal definition of success is sustainable and deeply fulfilling. It allows you to keep moving forward regardless of external circumstances. The quiet work done when no one is watching shapes outcomes in ways that cannot be replicated through short bursts of effort or public performance. It builds skill, strength, patience, and character. Those who remain consistent in the shadows eventually stand out in the light, not because they chased attention, but because they earned excellence through discipline and commitment long before anyone noticed. The people you choose to surround yourself with quietly shape the standards you live by, often more than your goals or intentions ever could. Human behavior is deeply influenced by environment, and the attitudes, habits, and expectations of those around you gradually become normal. When you place yourself among people who operate at a higher level, you are naturally pulled upward. Their standards challenge you, not through pressure, but through example. Higher standards are contagious. When you are around individuals who value discipline, growth, and accountability, you begin to question your own excuses. What once felt acceptable starts to feel inadequate. This shift is not about comparison or insecurity. It is about exposure. You cannot remain the same when you consistently witness what is possible. Being around excellence raises your awareness of what you could become. Surrounding yourself with higher standards also reshapes your mindset. Conversations change. Instead of discussing limitations, you talk about solutions. Instead of focusing on problems, you focus on progress. These interactions train your thinking to be more constructive and forward-looking. Over time, this way of thinking becomes natural, influencing how you approach challenges and opportunities. Another powerful effect of higher standard environments is accountability. When the people around you take responsibility seriously, it becomes harder to avoid doing the same. Your actions are no longer measured against average effort, but against consistent commitment. This accountability is not forced, it is mutual. You rise because you do not want to be the weak link in a strong chain. Being around people with higher standards also accelerates learning. You gain access to knowledge, habits, and perspectives that would take years to discover on your own. Observation becomes education. You learn not just from advice, but from behavior. How they manage time, handle stress, and respond to setbacks becomes a blueprint for your own growth. This environment also strengthens emotional maturity. People with high standards do not complain excessively or blame others. They focus on what they can control. Being around this mindset teaches you to regulate emotions, communicate more clearly, and handle conflict constructively. Your reactions become more measured because you are influenced by calm, intentional behavior. Surrounding yourself with higher standards also requires humility. You must be willing to admit that there is more to learn and that your current level is not the final one. This humility is not weakness, it is openness. It allows growth to occur without resistance. When ego is set aside, progress accelerates. Another important aspect is that higher standard circles do not tolerate stagnation. Comfort is replaced with growth. While this can feel uncomfortable at first, it is a necessary discomfort. Growth requires pressure. When your environment expects more from you, you begin to expect more from yourself. This internal shift is what sustains long-term improvement. It is also important to understand that surrounding yourself with higher standards does not mean abandoning everyone from your past. It means being intentional about influence. You can care for people without allowing their limitations to define your future. This discernment protects your direction while maintaining compassion. Over time, your environment becomes a mirror. It reflects back the standards you accept. When you choose environments that challenge you, you grow into them. Your habits improve, your confidence strengthens, and your potential expands. You begin to operate at a higher level, not because you were forced, but because that level became normal. The long-term impact of surrounding yourself with higher standards is identity transformation. You start to see yourself as someone who belongs in rooms where excellence is expected. This belief changes how you show up, how you speak, and how you act. Opportunities align with this new identity because your behavior signals readiness. Choosing your environment is one of the most strategic decisions you can make. It shapes your standards, your mindset, and your future in subtle but powerful ways. When you intentionally surround yourself with people who demand more of themselves, you naturally rise to meet that level, growing into a stronger, more disciplined, and more capable version of yourself. Surrounding yourself with higher standards is one of the most overlooked yet powerful decisions a person can make. The people in your environment quietly influence how you think, act, and what you believe is possible. Over time, their habits become familiar, their attitudes become normal, and their expectations begin to shape your own. When you are consistently around individuals who demand excellence from themselves, you are naturally pushed to raise your own level without being forced or instructed. Higher standards challenge comfort. When those around you value discipline, growth, and responsibility, excuses begin to lose their power. What once felt acceptable starts to feel insufficient. This shift does not come from pressure or judgment, but from exposure. Seeing others operate with focus and intention expands your understanding of what is achievable, and that awareness quietly raises your personal expectations. The environment you choose also influences the conversations you engage in. Around people with higher standards, discussions move away from complaining and towards solutions. Energy is spent on improvement rather than blame. Over time, this way of thinking becomes internalized. You begin to approach problems with clarity and purpose because that mindset has become familiar and reinforced through interaction. Accountability is another key benefit of surrounding yourself with higher standards. When people around you take their commitments seriously, it becomes harder to ignore your own responsibilities. Effort is expected, not praised. This creates a culture where showing up fully is normal. You rise not because you are competing, but because you want to contribute at the same level of commitment. Being in a higher standard environment also accelerates learning. You observe how others manage time, handle setbacks, and make decisions under pressure. These observations become lessons. You learn faster because you are exposed to refined habits and perspectives. Growth that might have taken years alone is compressed through proximity to those who are already operating at a higher level. This type of environment also develops emotional maturity. People with high standards tend to regulate their emotions and take responsibility for their actions. Being around this mindset teaches you to respond rather than react. You learn to communicate with clarity, handle conflict constructively, and maintain composure under stress. Emotional stability becomes a skill rather than a struggle. Surrounding yourself with higher standards requires humility. You must be willing to admit that you are not finished growing. This humility opens the door to learning and self-improvement. Ego fades when growth becomes the priority. You begin to value progress over pride, and that mindset allows consistent improvement. Higher standard circles also reduce tolerance for stagnation. Comfort is replaced with growth. While this can feel uncomfortable at first, it is necessary. Growth demands pressure. When your environment expects more, you naturally begin to expect more from yourself. Over time, this internal expectation becomes self-driven rather than externally influenced. It is important to understand that choosing higher standards does not mean rejecting your past or cutting people off harshly. It means being intentional about influence. You can respect and care for others while still protecting your direction. Growth requires boundaries, and boundaries create focus. Over time, your environment reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who belongs in spaces where excellence is normal. This belief influences how you show up, how you speak, and how you act. Opportunities align with this identity because your behavior reflects readiness. When you consistently surround yourself with higher standards, growth becomes inevitable. Your habits improve, your mindset strengthens, and your confidence deepens. Without realizing it, you begin operating at a higher level simply because that level has become your new normal. Becoming the person success is attracted to begins with understanding that Success is not something you chase, but something that responds to who you are. Many people spend their lives running after opportunities, recognition, or validation, without realizing that lasting success is drawn to character, consistency, and readiness. When you focus on becoming, rather than chasing, your energy shifts from desperation to development. And that shift changes everything. Success is attracted to clarity. When you know who you are and what you stand for, your actions become aligned. You stop moving randomly and start moving intentionally. This clarity builds confidence, not the loud kind, but the grounded kind that comes from direction. People, opportunities, and results are naturally drawn to those who move with purpose, because purpose signals stability and trust. Becoming the right person also requires discipline. Talent may open a door, but discipline keeps it open. Success looks for reliability, not potential. It responds to people who show up consistently, follow through on commitments, and maintain standards even when it is inconvenient. Discipline communicates readiness. It shows that you can handle responsibility without needing constant supervision or motivation. Another essential trait success is attracted to is humility. Humility keeps you teachable. No matter how much you grow, there is always more to learn. When you approach life with openness rather than ego, you continue improving. This willingness to learn allows you to adapt, evolve, and remain relevant. Success avoids rigid minds and gravitates toward those who can grow with changing circumstances. Emotional maturity also plays a major role. Success comes with pressure, and pressure exposes instability. People who can regulate their emotions, respond calmly to challenges, and remain steady during uncertainty are more likely to be trusted with greater responsibility. Emotional control creates consistency, and consistency creates confidence in your leadership and judgment. Becoming the person success is attracted to also involves taking full responsibility for your life. Excuses repel opportunity. Ownership attracts it. When you take responsibility for your actions, results, and growth, you signal strength. You demonstrate that you are capable of handling both success and failure with integrity. This accountability builds credibility, and credibility draws opportunities. Another key factor is resilience. Success rarely arrives without setbacks. The ability to recover, adapt, and continue forward is essential. Resilient people do not collapse under pressure. They learn, adjust, and persist. This persistence is magnetic because it shows commitment and endurance. Success is drawn to those who can withstand difficulty without losing direction. Consistency in values is equally important. People who compromise their principles for short-term gain often lose long-term trust. Success is attracted to integrity because integrity creates stability. When your words align with your actions, you become reliable. Reliability builds reputation, and reputation opens doors that effort alone cannot. Becoming this person also requires patience. Growth takes time, and rushing the process often weakens the foundation. Patient people trust the journey. They focus on progress rather than speed. This patience allows skills, character, and confidence to develop naturally, making success sustainable rather than fragile. Ultimately, becoming the person success is attracted to is about inner alignment. When your habits, values, and actions are aligned with your goals, success no longer feels distant. It begins to meet you where you are. Opportunities appear not by chance, but because your preparation made space for them. You stop forcing outcomes and start attracting results through who you have become. If this speech inspired you, like hey, co-emient and subscribe for more powerful motivational content. Share this video with someone who needs a mindset reset today.